On the latest episode of the Legion of Skanks, they talked about Brendan Schaub. They're still under the delusion that Brendan Schaub is going to go on the Legion of Skanks podcast with Brian Callen. I'm saying it's not going to happen, but they also talked about why so many people hate Brendan Schaub, and they take some shots. So let's check this out. Then I'll give you my thoughts on it, but let's see what Lewis, Dave, and Jay had to say about him.
So do you guys, Jay, I know you're doing Fighter and the Kid next week. Yeah. When you're in LA. And I put out a thing, I was like, would people want to see a Legion of Skanks Fighter and the Kid crossover? Mm-hmm. Because I spoke to Callen, then ended up just randomly speaking to Brendan Schaub. And I put it out. He reached out to me about something. Oh, nice. Yeah, and he just, he wanted to pick my brain about something. And then, because I guess Bert was like, yeah, dude, you should link up with this guy. Like, you know, he doesn't hate you. Because I guess Brendan Schaub thought that I hated him. And I do. No, I don't. I don't hate him, obviously. I don't know the guy. I never had anything really against the guy. But I put it out there because I talked to Callen and Schaub, and I was like, look, we should do a fucking podcast. And, just do Legion of Skanks, Fighter and the Kid, bust each other's balls. I would, without a doubt, we'd fucking... I think we can have a funny show and fuck around and make it an enjoyable podcast. You know what I'm saying? Even though I think our fan base doesn't necessarily fucking love him, I think our fan base is very open-minded, similarly to how when we brought Whitney on, she just came in 1,000 times. These people, everyone is a character in a show in some weird way to them. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anyone has any personal issue with Brendan Schaub. Why would... You know what I mean? Well, I'm not saying nobody does. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like, I don't know him well enough to have, like, sort of personal issues. All I know is I put this out there, and I've gotten it's not even a decent amount of pushback. I think, like I said, it's not even our audience. His audience is like, oh, dude, the fucking Legion of Skanks are going to just fucking cuck out like they did with Callen, and they're going to fucking be nice to the guy, and fucking Lewis is trying to do this to get back in with Joe Rogan. And I am. But all these shots working. So, Joe, if you hear this, just know that we're cool now. Now, I just, am I supposed to automatically fucking just hate a dude and be shitty to a dude? Isn't that more fucking cucking out? Just me, if I wanted to fucking pander to his subreddit, I could just take shots at Brendan Schaub every fucking chance I could get. Wait, I'm confused on what you're saying. What do you mean? Yeah, I'm a little bit lost too. His subreddit wants you're saying his people don't think it's lame. His fans think it's lame for us. His fans think it's lame for us to bring him onto our podcast, unless we bring him onto our podcast to specifically try to fist fight him or ruin his life. Well, why do his fans want that? How's that his fans? I guess when I say his fans, I mean the people. I can consider them all the same thing. The people that are on the Fighter and the Kid subreddit, the people that hate him, they're hate fans. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, that's a good way to put it. They're like hate fans. Like what? If they click on the content, technically they're a part of that system. You're technically paying him. If you watch his shit and you click on his shit, it's all quantified the same way. I always remember this one stuck out to me, but this was like years ago. Like it's got to be like 8 years ago or something like that. I don't know. It was right at the beginning of like when you were doing Real Ass Podcast back in the day. And I remember this guy was like going on this diatribe. You showed it to me about how he hated you. And then he was like talking. He was like, I fucking hate Lewis. He ruins everything he's on. And he goes, I'll remember when he did this awful bit that sucked. And the bit was like an hour into Real Ass Podcast. Some episode, and Lewis was like, you're a fan, dude. You're listening to my show. It's not even like you're listening to like the bigger show that I'm on. It's like you're going out. This was when it was a new show, Real Ass. There are people that listen to Legion of Skanks that hate individually every one of us. Yeah, without a doubt. And I believe it. Like, but they also, when they hate, like if they hate me, they hate me the same way that I hated fucking like The Undertaker. Yes. Yes. Well, no, I do it. Yeah. No, but until he turned, and then he fought Jake the Snake Roberts, and then we loved him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whose side are you on? No. Jake went, whose side are you on? And not yours. Not yours. It's just a Lewis voice. Not yours, doggy. I'm totally dead, doggy. Yeah, Legion of Skanks crossover, but if we brought somebody on shitty to him, I'm not bringing anybody on the show to be shit unless it was like it was set up. I would never Shanghai somebody to be shitty. I would if you're gonna have it out with somebody on a thing, and that's kind of like the idea. But like to sideswipe, I remember that was funny. Like first of all, I think we asked Brian Callen some pretty. He answered some pretty good questions on that lie detector test. Yeah. But, like, again, we're not going to have him on to fuck him over. It's just like, well, then why would anybody do the show ever? Yeah, it's just a shitty thing to do. I don't know. I'm not trying to, like, if we're busting someone's balls, it's always with the spirit of, like, this is funny. We're all going to laugh about it. It's not like we're going to get him. Also, they're like, oh, you know, they're trying to clout chase by bringing them onto the show. It's like, yes. Well, I don't know if the clout chase is like, I think it does probably more negative than positive. I'm trying to promote a special. No, I know you are, but I'm saying them bringing them onto this show specifically. But anytime you have somebody on a show, otherwise I would have literally fucking no-name comedians nonstop, and we do that as well. You know, obviously you want people to watch the show. I think people would be interested in watching the fighter and the kid on Legion of Skanks. I think it could be fun. Also, I think there could be some fun, interesting, tense moments because obviously we're going to bring up things like the subreddit. Obviously we're going to bring up things like fucking the shit with Andy Letterman. We could have a fun conversation about it though, I think, but it's not about. I would never bring somebody on to be like, well, dude, let me set this guy up to look like an absolute fucking fool. That's happened on our show before. It could very well happen with literally anybody that comes on our show. If there's not the right vibe and whatever is said, sometimes shit gets heated, right? But that's literally never been the intent. Am I a cuck if I don't bring up the Andy Letterman thing? Because I'm not. Dude, if you go on his podcast and you cuck out and you don't fucking smack Brendan Schaub directly in his face and say this is for the fucking Skanks, it's no big deal, dude. Well, I'm fucking put my wiener in a cage, dude, and have my girl start sucking cocks because you're a real fucking cuckarooski. No, dude, obviously you're such a cuck for not coming hard at that trained fighter. No, it's not even coming. Forget even a trained fighter. Like if it's not even a fighter, I know. It's not about fighting. It's just about. The thing is, I have no issue with them. There are people that I don't like. That if I was on a podcast with them, I wouldn't go at them because, like, the most important thing for me isn't simply to get fucking drama kicked up and dust kicked up. I want to have a fun, interesting show. The drama happens naturally. So here's the thing about podcasting, especially when you do it for 12, 15 hours a week, like a lot of us do, right? The drama will inherently happen. You will see an argument between me and Jay or Dave or a guest that comes on here. There'll be a fight at a comedy club or some chick will come at us online, and that's going to happen. For us to try to make it happen, I think is the fucking lamest shit in the world. And there are people that do that, and those are the clout chasers. They're the people, if you're just following this shit just to post about it and comment on it, and you're just looking for that drama, that's chasing clout. All right, this is boring as shit, dude. Let's fucking move on. Just drop it. Let's move on. Dude, don't you lose Jay Gomez, man. Yeah. That's great that someone finally did that. Doesn't it feel good, dude? Diz, you know what? This topic is stupid, and you're wasting all of our time talking about it. We've talked about it a lot, so can we just move on? We've talked about it at length, dude. Can we just move on? Like, it's boring people. Your topics bore people. Is it that abrupt? Sometimes? Yes, dude. Is that how? Did you smell how that felt, Lewis? That's exactly what you do. What you're saying sucks. Hurts, right? Nobody wants to hear what you're saying. You're boring everyone. Let's move on to something different. I don't like what you're saying. It's not fun. Not fun, is it? Yeah, I'm not enjoying it, so you fucking are terrible at this. If you guys both agree, then we can move on. And I appreciate you speaking for the audience. And they appreciate it, too. I just don't know why we're still talking about this. Let's move on. Because, you know, I see what the audience says, and the audience says they fucking hate this in you. Just so you know. I just wanted to be out there.
Okay, so like I said, I do not see Brendan Schaub going on the Legion of Skanks. I think it would be great if he did it. And, like, of course they're not going to, like, outright confront him, but they will drop in references, the Trug Walk. I have talked to Lewis through DM. Maybe he'll ask about the lawsuit. I mean, he has talked publicly about the lawsuit, Brendan Schaub, on his stupid Schaub show thing where he lied and said that he was suing me for defamation when he's really just suing for copyright. But, I mean, I'm just telling you, I don't see this happening. he's not going to go on to that Legion of Skanks thing. And maybe, like, if they do it like this through Zoom or something, or Skype, maybe he'd do that. But him actually in the room with the crowd, oh, dude, I don't see that happening. With other comedians, and he knows everyone there doesn't like him, because why would you like him? He's not funny. And he's terrible. I liked how they trashed the Gringo Poppy. So, like I said, I'm not seeing that happening. Brendan Schaub is kind of like Opie, meaning Opie says he'll do everyone's little show, you know, like QZ and other people, but in Legion of Skanks, this was another one. Opie said he would go on Legion of Skanks with them. Lewis went on Opie's podcast, and then Opie just never went on Legion of Skanks. For no reason. And I think Brendan Schaub is sort of the same way. Like, Brendan Schaub will do a podcast with a dude who has 1,000 subscribers. Why wouldn't he go on Legion of Skanks? It's only because he knows he can't handle it. And he knows, and the problem is, like, when he gets confronted by stuff, he completely, like, locks up and can't talk, really. Like, go back and watch him in the Bobby Lee and Kalila thing. The dude hardly talked. Or go back and when he was on Flagrant 2, which they did not promote, and I still find that hilarious, that Brendan Schaub went on Flagrant 2, and they didn't even put him in the title of the podcast. When Andrew Schultz asked him about the Trug Walk, he got very, like, tight-lipped, like, doesn't make sense, B. I don't know what they're talking about. And so, like, even if he went on the podcast and then throwing in these references and stuff, it would just make him clam up and shut up. And he knows that, and he knows he would come off looking terribly, which is why, once again, I highly doubt he would go on Legion of Skanks with these guys. I get what they're saying, too, and when Lewis said, and people think I'm just having him on so I can get in good with Joe Rogan, and then he made that joke about, well, yeah, I am. It was a joke, but also kind of true. It is kind of true. Many a truth said in jest. And that's why a lot of these dudes do this with Schaub. I swear to God, if I have to hear he's a nice guy one more time. But they have to deal with him because they know Rogan is behind him. And Schaub uses that card, too. Never forget when Callen threatened Bobby Lee with Brendan Schaub on the phone. What was the threat? We're going to get Rogan involved. You think that's the only person they told that to? And not even in a threatening way. But everybody knows if you cross Schaub, you're messing up your Rogan chances of getting on there or having a relationship. So that's why nobody wants to cross him, and everybody just tries to be nice to him, except for the people who don't care. Like Annie Lederman, I doubt cares. Or is like, but that's another reason why, like, Whitney Cummings won't trash Schaub, really. Although she's there for if someone else jokes about him. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm telling these guys, I've told Lewis, I mean, you're talking to Callen's talking to Schaub. You think you're going to line it up. It's not going to happen. That dude is too sensitive, not funny. He's a fraud. He knows he's a fraud, and he knows he'll get exposed as a fraud because every time he tries to do comedy or something, he gets exposed as the unfunny fraud that he is. He's just a rich kid who is friends with Joe Rogan. He owes his entire comedy career to that. And that career is now over. And it's kind of hilarious. What happened to your sold out shows, B? Hilarious. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments.